welcome to Before the Hedges, presented by Kroger, right here on DawgNation. I'm Hannah Chalker, alongside our UGA recruiting reporter, Jeff Sintel. It's my favorite day of the week because we get to join you guys right here on Before the Hedges and talk recruiting. We hope you had a good weekend and a happy Easter. And Jeff, how was your weekend and your Easter?
Pretty good Easter, Hannah. I will say this, I feel great about the future of our world because I saw an Easter egg hunt that was happening this weekend. There were over 2,000 eggs. There were probably only like 40 young people. So the old kids gathered up all the eggs, and it was like fish in a barrel. It was like Kirby Smart in Georgia picking up 5 stars. They were like left and right, left and right, left and right. And the big kids took the eggs, saw how maybe greedy they were, like Brandon Adams style greedy. And they took their eggs to the little kids and dispersed them that way. That was, you know, it got you in the feels.
That's so great. Well, we also have to remember that yesterday was April Fool's Day, so maybe not such a good thing, maybe a sour note on April Fool's Day. We'll tell you why one UGA commit kind of rubbed Jeff the wrong way, and some of you guys out there as well on April Fools. We'll also have an updated offer list for UGA guys, as well as some spring targets and who will be at G-Day. We're starting to kind of round up everybody that's going to be there for you guys to keep an eye on. And of course, at the end of the show, we have our Behind the Music, which is one of my favorite segments because it's a feature story, and today's is on 4-star defensive tackle Devante Wyatt. That's at the end of the show. You're going to want to stick around for that, and as always, we want to hear from you guys. Send your questions and comments throughout the show. But before we get started, Jeff, you had something that you wanted to get off your chest today. Seriously,
because guys, now listen, we've been talking about this, we've been hitting it about a while. This young lady sitting next to me here has incredible vocal stylings. She's been practicing. She has been working on her DawgNation Before the Hedges mini concert, and she's going to rip off maybe 2, maybe 3 of her favorite Carrie Underwood tunes later in our program. You want to stay to the very end of our program for that because Hannah will be live here on DawgNation. How's that sound, everybody? What do you think of that? You think that sounds great? April Fools!
Oh, God. That was really good. You know, you just gave got everyone's hopes up.
Everyone's hopes. That kind of shows how powerful those April Fool things are. They play with people's emotions.
You know who else got our UGA fans' hopes up? And they're feeling worse than they are just now that you said I'm not going to sing? 5-star defensive end commit Nolan Smith played a terrible April Fool's Day prank yesterday on Twitter. He tweeted out, "I would like to publicly announce my decommitment from the University of Georgia. I'd like to thank the coaches for providing me with this amazing opportunity and the fans for all of their support, yada, yada, yada. I'm forever grateful, and I would like to thank you for accepting my decision." Signed, Nolan Smith. The whole shebang. Well, a couple hours later, April Fools, Jeff, you did not like this. And also, we want fans to weigh in on what you guys think about this as well. Thoughts?
Well, first of all, it's a kid being a kid. You've got a lot of, Owen Popo even tweeted out Boomer Sooner. There was a group chat last night where a lot of guys were involved. And, you know, let the young men be young men. I get all that. But when that story was kind of marinating last night, I thought back to Vin Scully, Dodger games, whenever there was a streaker that ran across the field. They did not put that on TV. They did not show or endorse it because otherwise that would be something that copycats would follow. Didn't report it on DawgNation, saw no need to report it on DawgNation. And a quick little tell for that is it's really hard if you've been covering recruiting for a while. When someone makes that decommitment, normally you have this signature phrase that says no interviews, please respect my decision. That was obviously missing from Nolan's joke last night. It only lasted for about an hour before he kind of pulled the rug behind everybody. He even started it out with a big 10 p.m. announcement coming. Anybody that knows the calendar and April Fools, and also maybe more important to all this is if you know Nolan Smith's recruitment, like some of our readers on DawgNation do, then that just kind of didn't make sense with what Nolan has been saying lately about Georgia with all those we's and r's. And Hannah, I think we've got some very impressive visual evidence that shows maybe just how solid Nolan Smith actually is to Georgia.
Did you just compare Nolan Smith to a streaker?
I just said the moment was something. Well, that was tomfoolery. That was boys being boys. And I don't know if it could be on Twitter. It could live on Twitter. Everybody have fun on Twitter. But I didn't think it needed to be on a reputable news website.
Well, despite the joke, whether you think it was good or not, we also want your opinion. He's still solid with UGA, so no sweat there. And Justin Fields had a huge part in getting him to Georgia. We've got the interview with ours truly, Jeff Sintel. Let's listen in.
I think you've been committed for over 15 months now. Everybody, readers, fans always ask us about it. What keeps you committed to Georgia right now?
I don't know. That's a great question. Committed to the G.
Nolan, I remember a conversation we had last year. You always wanting Georgia to get a dual threat. How much did Justin's decision help?
Yes.
How much did that help?
Having a dual threat quarterback is a great key from every aspect of the game. By that, he can throw and run. And being a defensive player, me having to practice against Justin Fields, that's fine. But me having to play against Justin Fields, if he went to Florida, it would have been a big problem now. So now that he's on our side, I don't have to play against him. I can only practice against him, and he's going to do nothing but just make me better.
I tried to infer, like maybe people thought you were wavering a little bit at one point. Maybe did Justin's decision solidify your thoughts with Georgia? Did it, the class they signed, did that increase the pull from Georgia? How would you explain that?
Kind of, it kind of. By that, a lot of people say, why did he go there? Jake Fromm, we're showing people that we're not afraid to work, and that we're from Georgia, so we're gonna stay home, and no matter who's the guy in front of us, we're gonna work and try to outwork him every day.
Nolan, thanks for your time, man.
Yes, sir.
Always good talking to you, sir.
Real quick, you planning on going to G-Day?
Of course, and the new billboard is gonna be up. It's gonna be up. The new what is the Megatron?
The new Jumbotron.
Jumbotron, yeah. The new Jumbotron is going to be up, and it's going to be fun. The new tunnel, and they got a new recruiting area for us. So it's going to be nice, Kirk, all we need is someone to help out with the program. We got an indoor facility. The stadium's looking different. Georgia's going to be totally different from when Mark Richt was there. Not saying that he did a bad job, but Mark Richt is a great guy. But now that we got someone that know what he's doing.
Who still recruits you hardest for Georgia? Is it Lanning now, or is it Kirby? Is it Tucker? Who do you hear from?
I almost hear from Coach Lanning, Coach Tucker every day. Sometimes, no, Coach Schumann. Sometimes Coach Schumann texts me before my girlfriend. And he texts me at like 6 o'clock in the morning when I'm waking up. Or Coach McGee. As soon as I roll over, it'd be like Coach McGee, Coach Shu, and they text me. So that means a lot to me that it's early in the morning and they're sending out texts and stuff like that, because it shows that they really care.
All right, guys, fair and balanced coverage here. Nolan can do his own thing. It's his recruiting. It's his prerogative to handle it any way he wants to. I also think about the young kid that's a 3-star, maybe definitely not going to get away with this, and maybe 5 stars can kind of have their little fun on April Fool's Day when other recruits cannot. I'd love to hear what everybody thinks about the April Fool's joke that wasn't. And please weigh in on the comments.
All right, good stuff, Jeff. You're watching Before the Hedges right here on DawgNation, presented by Kroger. Come join your local Kroger chef for a guided kids cooking experience, including apron and patch, chef's hat, recipe card and box, and juicer, all for just $7. Kroger Chef Jr. will be featuring Spring Fling Salad on April 14th and 21st. Visit KrogerChefJr.com to find your closest Kroger store and to reserve your spot. That's Jeff Simtel. I'm Hannah Chalker. Thanks so much for joining us right here on Before the Hedges on DawgNation. We've had a lot of fun on the show so far, but we've got a lot more coming up, and we are going to start with the updated defense offers for UGA, and we've got the numbers right here for you. 114 defensive offers. That's up 1 from the last time we were on. This is according to 24/7. Jeff, break this down for us.
Yeah, you got defensive end. There's more weak side defensive ends than strong side defensive ends. Georgia has a strong side defensive end, and Bill Norton committed. Defensive tackle, we're going to cover a lot of those names. Obviously, Travon Walker, Josh Harris, Derek Green, or guys like that to think about. Outside backer, Georgia has a lot of targets there, but recently one of their top outside backers, Brandon Smith, has been recommitted and reclassified as an inside linebacker. Plays that in high school. Cornerbacks, I think Georgia will sign one more corner in 2019 and then one more safety. Looking at them on the other side of the ball, you've got the offensive side, everything that's going on there. You're going to see those 8 pro styles, 5 dual threat quarterbacks. We'll discuss quarterbacks later in our show. Running back, who are they going to take there? We're going to discuss a running back today in our show as well. Wide receiver, George Pickens is a name to look at there as well. Tight end, will they stay at one? Will they go after another one? Keon Zipperer down in South Florida is a name to think about there. Offensive tackle, who are the guys? Luke Griffin, you see that commitment right there. Very tenuous, very shaky commitment there to say the least. Guard, athlete, Georgia, you've got Tresman Marshall there, number 7 athlete, actually going to play an inside linebacker in college. Definitely going to think about Georgia, Clemson, Alabama with Mr. Marshall.
93 offensive offers, 231 in all. Who are your marquee guys that are going to be at G-Day?
Well, you got a lot of them. Travon Walker still sounds to me like he's going to be there. Ryan Olinsky is going to be there. Lots of names. Almost every 2018 signee is going to be there. You see Kyle Hamilton, who also just visited Georgia practice this past weekend. Got some more of that good one-on-one time. I've been told that there was one moment where the only recruit on the field during one of the practices was Kyle Hamilton out of Marist High School. Lots of big names are going to come in for G-Day. Devante Dobbs is a guy, big-time tackle. Probably going to be a guard at Georgia. He's actually visiting this week out of Michigan. To the program, and G-Day is going to fill up. You're going to see some official visits there, I believe. You're going to see a lot of the major targets there. Nolan Smith, as you saw in that clip, he's going to be there as well. Going to check out all the new bells and whistles for Georgia. G-Day, I'm predicting probably was going to be the biggest recruiting G-Day we've seen so far.
One guy that has been on that offer list for quite a while and who just keeps rising up the QB ranks is 4-star quarterback Ryan Olinsky. He released his top 7 schools recently. And Jeff, what do you have to think about this?
Well, he's got 4 SEC schools. That would be Texas A&M, Georgia, South Carolina, and Ole Miss. He's got 3 Pac-12 schools, which would be Arizona State, Arizona, and Oregon. He's going to cut this list down to 3 schools in about 2 or 3 weeks. He may pump the brakes on that until after G-Day, but I think this kid is an Elite 11 quarterback, one of the fastest rising quarterback prospects in the country. Really likes everything he's sensing and hearing so far from Georgia. Kirby Smart even texted him on Easter and said they appreciate making his top 7. So when the head man's texting you on Easter in between egg hunting and the Smart home, you know you're a priority for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, a little Easter present. That was cool that he put that out on Easter. You know, why does UGA make the cut for Ryan Olinsky?
Well, Olinsky wants to play in the SEC. He kind of compares himself to a Ben Roethlisberger type, even though he's a big Tom Brady fan. But he echoes a lot of that Tom Brady career arc by saying, I don't need to play right away. I need to find a place and an environment that's going to make me better. Thinks Jake Fromm was one of the best returning quarterbacks in college football this year. He knows Justin Fields is the best high school quarterback from a year ago as well. He feels that those 2 guys at Georgia could only boost his playing career and not keep him on the sidelines until his junior season. Likes a lot of things about Georgia, loves the communication between Jay Johnson and James Coley. He thinks Coley gets him. He doesn't mess around. He's straight to the point. And it's going to be a very big visit for Ryan Olinsky on G-Day because he's going to show up for about 2 days. And if it goes well, I think Georgia could crack that top 3 too.
The nation's number 5 running back for 2019, that's John Emery Jr., also released his top 8. Jeff, who are his top 8 schools and why is this not good for UGA fans?
Well, first of all, his father's a Tennessee legacy. That's something to think about there. But you see all the big names. You see Mississippi State, Auburn, Michigan, Southern Cal, LSU, Florida, Georgia. Georgia did crack the top 8, and it will be, this will be one of his final schools. There will be no deviations from this. It will be one of those 8 schools. He'll probably cut down to 3 right around August. He'll make his decision in December. John Emery, nation's number 5 back, and I know everybody's thinking, Dell McGee, if he wants this guy, he's going to come after him. Dell McGee usually gets what he wants when it comes to recruiting elite backs to Georgia, but I'm going to share a pump the brakes moment right there because Mr. Emery also told SEC Country's Sam Spiegelman that he's looking for a place where he can come in right away and be the number 1 back, be the feature back. And there's no other way to say that is, Hannah, that's not happening at the University of Georgia for at least 2 or 3 years with any freshman running back, considering the names that are on that depth chart right now. So if he's looking to be the man, it's probably not going to be at the University of Georgia.
So no chance he'll be at Georgia G-Day?
He's actually going to make his visit, I think, this weekend on April the 6th. He'll be visiting Georgia. Busy schedule for him. I know it'd be one of those things where if Georgia turns up the heat and shows him a lot of attention, Georgia could probably climb up that list. But if that's really what he's looking for, to be the man as a freshman, the #1 running back at Georgia as a freshman, he'll have to prove himself better than DeAndre Swift, Zamir White, James Cook, Brian Herrien, or Elijah Holyfield if they return. A very tall order, no matter how talented the nation's #5 back is for 2019.
All right, we will continue to follow all of UGA's offers as well as who will be at G-Day every week as we get closer and closer to G-Day. What is it, 19 days away now?
G-Day, 19 days and counting. That's almost like people are kind of chomping at the bit. They're bored on the DawgNation message board forum. There's a thread that's linking Jake Fromm to Sadie Robinson, Phil Robertson's daughter. And it's one of those hoaxes as well. Somebody was just bored at their computer one night. They were just saying, likes the outdoors, Jake likes the outdoors, Sadie outdoors, Christian families, why not? And that is silly season for recruiting, but we appreciate everybody's insight on the forum as well.
SEC football on Match.com. All right, we have some comments about G-Day as well. Al Clements wants to know what will be the total number of seats after the renovation, and there's a lot of construction going on right now around the stadium.
Yeah, everybody's worried about like how many seats will be available. I think Al might be one of that party of bringing a party of friends from Gainesville. They're taking a bus all the way up to G-Day. Remember G-Day last year, 2 years ago, Kirby's first G-Day, it was probably a 97K day instead of 93K day. They turned a lot of folks away. The crowd was so big. I think the construction will maybe work around that west end zone, and maybe it might limit it to maybe 90,000, something like that. But of course, they're going to assign tickets out, and there are going to be more details coming about that in the days and weeks to come. But Georgia, just to make sure to ease everyone's mind, Georgia is going to make sure that it's a big turnout, and they want to pack as many fans in there as possible to impress the nation and impress all those elite recruits on hand.
Let's do a few more comments while we have time. Melinda Moe wants to know, will there be any commitments on G-Day?
Usually there's always one or two that feel like they feel maybe in the spirit to make a commitment on G-Day. Jake Kamada actually committed last year. Before that, William Poole actually committed to G-Day as well. So Kirby's 2 for 2 on G-Day commitments so far, and I would expect there might be one gentleman out there that might feel the timing is right to add to the nation's #1 class on G-Day.
Josh Freeman wants to know what's the biggest question mark on our schedule this year. I don't see anything that scares me. It's a good question.
Yeah, you got to worry about that early game with South Carolina, especially going on the road. New faces on defense. Will they be gelled yet? How will the young DBs work? How will the young offensive line work? Something to think about there. Who's going to be the feature back already in that run-first offense? Obviously, the LSU game, I don't care what season it is, any way you want to slice it and dice it. If you're playing in Death Valley at night, you definitely better bring your big boy pants, no matter how many 5 stars you have on the team. Remember how many Alabama teams have went down to Baton Rouge and kind of came away with a few tears after an LSU game. So that's one game to really think about as well. 2 early games where I think will decide the fate of the Georgia season, but that question is kind of right on. I really think there's only 3 or 4 games to really get white-knuckled about for the Georgia Bulldogs in 2018 as far as games that could be in doubt.
And Wesley Clark says, Jeff, any news on Gibbs?
Gibbs, D'Angelo Gibbs, working his way back into the program, still recovering from that shoulder surgery. I fully expect him to be ready to go, participating for the team in fall camp. All
right. That's Jeff Simtel. I'm Hannah Chalker. Thanks so much for joining us right here on Before the Hedges on DawgNation. It's been a great show so far.
It has. It has.
Everyone's thanking you for your intel, and they're also commenting on your haircut.
They like
which
it.
Is a great Easter haircut.
They like it high and tight. Sometimes I got a young son, and you guys have seen him on Facebook, I think. And sometimes when Daddy's haircut's short, then he doesn't mind his haircut being short. And I got to get that man ready for school every morning, so I want it nice and high and tight. So those cowlicks are not a problem when I'm brushing him to get him on the school bus in the morning.
All right, let's move on to a really cool story. Before the music, we like to call it our feature section of the show, which is one of my favorites because I love taking a deeper look at how these guys end up at Georgia. And today's Behind the Music is 4-star defensive tackle Devante Wyatt. National rank is 5. And he's number 2 in the nation at his position. And this is a crazy story. So he committed to Georgia back in 2016. did not get accepted by the NCAA because of his grades. Ended up in Kansas at a community college called Hutchinson Community College. He was there for 1 year. Now he's finally a Dawg. Jeff, take us through the turns of his recruitment, and now he's in Athens.
Yeah, there was definitely a soap opera to Devante Wyatt's recruitment. I think it starts out two places. Towers High School, number one. Devante Wyatt was at track practice, and he was watching those fast guys motor up and down, and he was throwing the shot and the discus. This is what all 280-pounders are prone to do during track season. And he told his coaches, he's like, "Coach, I can run like that." And he's like, "All right, let me see what you got." So Devante goes out in a pair of Air Force Ones, runs right around 11-something in the 100, faster than some of his teammates in track shoes coming out of blocks with no form. Clips went viral, of course, around the internet. And then that kind of kicked off his recruiting attention. And Devante Wyatt, now about 6'3", 305, was so well thought of by the coaches at Towers High that they let him get some running back reps. Running back reps. Let me say that again. Running back reps for the defensive tackle in high school. Man-child, really hard to tackle. He got his attention. South Carolina offers him first. He commits to South Carolina. Then Georgia comes in heavy with the attention and the pressure. Georgia and the interest and the love. Georgia flips him away from South Carolina. There was some late indecision about was it going to be South Carolina or Georgia. He remained committed to the G, did not qualify. So many great stories about Devante Wyatt. He has to go to junior college. He had to make all Bs because he had the acceptable scores, and he needed to make all Bs in his 1 quarter in junior college. He did that, showed up for Georgia during bowl practices, and now Trey Scott, because he thinks that, he told me at the college football playoff media days that Georgia's going to need him to play heavily. They're going to need him to play early because he's going to build depth on the defensive line. A big slasher, penetrator, going to get into gaps and wreak some havoc in the backfield. And remember, Georgia had not signed a defensive tackle in the class of 2017 to begin with. That's why Devante Wyatt's presence in the class of 2018 as an early enrollee really matters for Georgia and everybody going forward. Just a great, great story. There's another great story about Devante Wyatt, how his principal and his head coach tried to keep him away from a bad element in their school, saved him away from the streets and got him onto the right path to college football, playing football, and not being out with the wrong crowd. Really great moment. We wrote about that where his high school coach said, "Let me have him," to some elements of the neighborhood that were going to maybe lead Devante Wyatt down a dark path. Kept him in the program, kept his future straight ahead, and now he's going to be a Georgia Bulldog this fall.
How common is it for a JUCO player to end up at the school they originally committed to?
Pretty uncommon story, especially, Hannah, because you're sitting there and you've got a guy that basically only goes to junior college for 1 semester, gets right back into the program. Devante Wyatt's grades were always going to be a wait and see. He was a late qualifier, and eventually, by the time he qualified, term hadn't already started and Georgia didn't have any room for him in the class, but he's a Georgia Bulldog now, and he will have 3 years to play 3 seasons, 3 years to play 3 seasons for Georgia. Bright, bright future ahead for that young man. Great, great guy. A lot of our DawgNation readers and viewers got to meet him with me and BA one time at one of our Marlowe's Tavern moments we had during his recruiting season. Everybody was clearly impressed by the young man.
So when fans are watching him this upcoming season, what do they need to know?
They're going to say, "Gosh, that boy's fast."
I think we just saw that.
I think you're going to watch him play. He's going to shoot gaps. He's going to be a good leverage player to get underneath guys. That he's going to look a lot like Tyler Clark, maybe a faster Tyler Clark, maybe not as much of an impact that Tyler Clark made last year, because I think Tyler Clark was one of the better defensive tackles in the SEC last year. But I think that freshman year impact is going to look a little bit like David Marshall and maybe Tyler Clark in the 2016 season for Georgia. And the Bulldogs definitely need that depth on the line after seeing guys like Trenton Thompson, John Atkins leave the program and exhaust their eligibility.
Let's jump over to the comment section and you guys get some last comments in here. Marshall Fleming wants to know, do you think they'll use Wyatt as a jumbo fullback on goal lines? I think that we saw Alabama pull that off a few times. Sorry, guys. Do you think that they might take a page out of, you know what I'm trying to say, out of Saban's book? Take a page out of Saban's book for that?
Well, they like that refrigerator Perry type goal line carries. And look at this man rumbling. You want to get low on that guy, and you do not want to take that young man on high. But I would think RBU has enough studs in the backfield for Dell McGee to deal with. They don't need to take one of their few impressive, ready-to-play defensive tackles and start giving him goal line carries. I think Georgia will operate just fine in the red zone with the guys they have on offense right now.
You mentioned players could possibly commit on G-Day. Who do you think it could be?
I don't know about that. That'd be kind of like getting Chalker to commit to a song in the middle of our in the middle of our Before the Hedges. I think there are some clear targets out there that are waiting until a certain specific time. Might be an impulse decision. I would think people might think the more likely people to commit might be a 2020 commit or a 2019 commit on an official visit that is really seeing Georgia for the first or second time. Everyone knows about one of the major targets for the class in Owen Popo. Not going to make his decision until May the 5th. That is Cinco de Popo when he will make his decision known, whether it's going to be Auburn or Georgia or Nebraska there. So something to think about there. Owen Popo is probably one of the biggest targets that might make their decision potentially to the University of Georgia in the next month or two. Got to watch G-Day, got to watch some players getting caught up in the moment and deciding there's no other place for them than the University of Georgia. But remember, this year's class, it's fat, it's fantastic. It's already #1 in the country. Remember this time a year ago, Hannah, Georgia was down to 1 commitment total on G-Day. When Jake Camarda joined the program, and he was their second commitment. Man, it seems like things are much different in 2018.
What's the number again? Total commitments?
Total commitments, they have 8 right now in the class.
8 right now when they had 1 last year.
They had 1 last year, especially because everybody remembers G-Day last year, and that was a kick in the teeth for a lot of fans because not only did they lose Max Ray a little bit before G-Day, they also lost Adam Anderson, who would eventually come back to the fold at the University of Georgia. But there was a moment on G-Day where Georgia was down to Donovan Georges, who actually would not even remain in the class of 2018 at Georgia, and they got their second commitment later that day when Jake Camarda, the talented punter kicker out of Norcross High School, committed to Georgia. And remember Jake Camarda's name, man. When everybody starts talking about who's most likely to play out of the 2018 class, I think that name, Jake Camarda, is as likely as any because he will battle Marshall Long for the starting punter job immediately in Athens.
You mentioned Popo, and Max McDonald wants to know he's going to be playing at G-Day, right?
I don't know if his decision, I don't know if Owen Popo has put it out there where he's going to be. You got to remember, 19 days away. Some big name guys want to make sure that they move a little bit more secretive until they get to G-Day. He might have an official visit conflict right there. I think the last time I talked to Owen Popo about G-Day, he was like, when's G-Day? Let me check my calendar. Let me check my schedule. It's funny how some, definitely a lot of our readers, a recruiting reporter like myself, the first lady of Georgia recruiting, sometimes follows all these dates and official visit windows a lot more closer than all those 5-star mega elite recruits out there.
You guys are watching Before the Hedges right here on DawgNation. That's Jeff Sintel. I'm Hannah Chalker, and we are presented by our wonderful sponsor, Kroger. Come join your local Kroger chef for a guided kids cooking experience, including apron and patch, chef's hat, recipe card and box, and juicer, all for only $7. Kroger Chef Jr. will be featuring Spring Fling Salad on April 14th and 21st. Visit KrogerChefJr.com to reserve your spot right now. Spring Fling Salad. I can do it.
Sounds like there are some young recruits that need to commit to being a chef at Kroger. Junior recruits, Spring Fling Salad, $7? Bargain.
Hey, the most important question in the entire show, what's coming up this week on Sintel's Intel?
Well, we're going to have a couple of Film Don't Lies. If everybody's been reading those where we have kind of unscathed, no holds barred, tell me like it is, Jeff, analysis from some leading football minds about some of Georgia's top recruits. That's something to watch for there. You're going to see an interesting story or two about perspective on the young quarterbacks at Georgia, Jake Fromm versus Justin Fields. Probably going to be some more basketball recruiting if you guys want to read a little bit more about basketball recruiting. But the bread and butter will be 4 stars and 5 stars and 2020 prospects and who might be one of the next to commit to the University of Georgia. Drop a line if you ever want to read about somebody. Let us know. Let Hannah know. She's really well connected. We can get a story served up on DawgNation.com quickly if you guys put the word out there. We're here to serve you guys.
We're getting a lot more questions about G-Day, who's going to be there, confirmed targets. Hey, join us next Monday right back here, and we can probably break that down a little bit better, right? Giving us a week.
will give us another big chart. We'll put a chart of everybody that's supposed to come. We've already had one of those up on DawgNation with names like Travon Walker. All the 2019 commits, I think, will also be there as well. Some other big names like Jalen Humphreys. Huge visits are up on hand for Georgia for G-Day. That's when the program really is expected to shine and put its best face forward on maybe attracting even more elite recruits to the 2019 class.
All right, guys, thanks so much for watching us on Before the Hedges right here on DawgNation. Hey, we're also on podcast, so check us out on SoundCloud or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and you can take us with you as you are on the go. I know you guys are super busy. All right, thanks to our sponsor, Kroger, and don't forget to join us right back here next Monday for another episode, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and head on over to DawgNation.com for the Centel Intel and all of the latest UGA news. We'll see you next time. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you next week.